Beyond your gaze, the architecture of a quiet tragedy. This is not simply a story of unrequited love. It is a structural analysis of the music video 0327, a work built from silence, distance, restraint, and inherited responsibility. At first glance, it appears to be a workplace romance. But beneath the surface, the real tragedy is architectural. It is created by gaze, space, hierarchy, and the emotional lines people choose not to cross.
This is a tragedy without villains. A, B, and C are not enemies. No one acts with cruelty, and no one intends harm. B is sincere and observant, but his kindness is not romantic toward C. C is young, pure, and effort-driven. She believes that changing herself may bring her closer to affection. A is rational and professional. She prioritizes harmony, organization, and social balance. The tragedy is not personal. It is structural.
The emotional vectors do not align. C looks directly at B. She interprets his casual kindness as a possible sign of affection. B looks toward A. His gaze is fixed on her from a distance, without crossing professional boundaries. A looks beyond both of them, toward the organization and its fragile balance. No one is looking in the same direction. Their physical distance may be small, but their emotional sightlines never truly intersect.
The spark begins with a simple sentence. B says to C, "You were busy today. Are you okay?" To B, this is only a casual workplace check-in. It is sincere, but it carries no romantic intention. To C, however, the same sentence becomes emotionally significant because it arrives when she is tired, vulnerable, and ready to hope. The tragedy begins when ordinary kindness is misread as romantic possibility.
A understands the imbalance earlier than anyone else. Her advice to C sounds simple. He likes cute girls, doesn't he? On the surface, it appears to be encouragement, but underneath, it functions as a strategic nudge. A knows that B's gaze is already fixed on her. She also sees C moving toward emotional exposure, so A redirects the pressure without confrontation. It is not cruelty. It is social engineering to preserve equilibrium. C accepts the advice and begins to change. She softens her appearance. She moves toward lightness, pink, and the idea of being cute. But she is changing an attribute, not the real structure. C believes that if she becomes cuter, the distance may close. But B is not looking for cuteness. His gaze is drawn to A's maturity, presence, and authority. C's effort is sincere. That sincerity is exactly what makes it painful. The video expresses this emotional stagnation through 3 motion protocols. P1 is stillness. It represents fixed emotional states that cannot easily change. P2 is micromovement. It shows the body leaking emotion through small, involuntary gestures. P3 is environmental scale. The city, the office, and the organization appear larger than the individual. The characters do not run, confess, or collapse. They remain trapped inside a visual system of restraint. The music follows the same logic. The chord progression seems to move forward, but it does not truly resolve. It circles, repeats, and refuses emotional release. This mirrors C's situation. She changes herself. She tries to move forward. She invests effort, hope, and vulnerability, but the structure underneath does not change. The music is not just background. It becomes another architectural boundary. It proves that emotional motion does not always mean progress. Silence is one of the central structures of this story. Everyone understands more than they say. A understands B's gaze. B understands his own restraint. C eventually understands that her effort was based on a false reading. But nobody fully verbalizes the truth. This silence is not emptiness. It is professional discipline. In this workplace, emotion remains present but unspoken. The tragedy survives because everyone continues to behave properly. A's blue notebook becomes a symbol of quiet withdrawal.
When A closes it, she does not blame anyone. She does not demand recognition. She does not create a dramatic confrontation. Instead, she leaves her feelings behind in silence. Her transfer is not simply running away. It is a calculated realignment. A removes herself from the triangle to preserve the social order. This is not romantic victory. It is mature responsibility. After A is gone, the illusion finally breaks. C traces B's gaze and understands the truth. She was never failing because she was not cute enough. She was simply standing outside B's true sightline. B had always been looking toward A. This realization is painful, but it is also liberating. C stops asking how to become the person B might choose. Instead, she begins to understand where she now stands. C abandons the pursuit of being chosen. Before, she sought external validation. She tried to reshape herself to fit someone else's imagined desire. Now, she stands on her own. The change is quiet but decisive. She no longer tries to become an attribute for another person's gaze. The story moves from romantic desperation to self-possession. The romance does not succeed, but C begins to recover her own center. C's growth is both emotional and professional. In the past, she is effort-driven, externally focused, and constantly checking for validation. Her image is soft, light, and shaped by how she might be seen. In the present, she becomes duty-driven and internally grounded. Her colors return to cooler, darker tones. She becomes calm, confident, and responsible. C has not merely moved on from a crush. She has inherited the space once held by A. Are you okay? Now carries two meanings. In the past, casual kindness was misread as romantic possibility. Unspoken desire became emotional fixation. But in the present, care no longer has to become romance. C now stands where A once stood. She is no longer defined by another person's gaze. Misread kindness becomes inherited responsibility. This is the transformation at the center of the story. The gaze loses power. Responsibility remains. In the end, the gaze fades. The responsibility remains. Beyond Your Gaze is not the story of a failed romance alone. It is the story of emotional maturation inside a social structure. A leaves without hatred. B remains restrained. C survives the collapse of her illusion. The romance fails, but the individual triumphs. Beyond the gaze, there is not emptiness. There is clarity. There is adulthood. And there is the quiet strength to continue.
Thank you for watching. I'd be grateful if you could leave a short comment.